Is organizing just a bunch of systems and to-dos, or is there a psychology behind it? We find out today on Keeping You Organized. Well, today on Keeping You Organized, we have Maureen Heinen from sendinmarine.com. And Maureen, welcome to Keeping You Organized. You're in the Minneapolis area, is that correct?
That's correct. I serve the entire Twin Cities, but I live in Shoreview.
Well, that's excellent. Now, I want to get into what I would maybe talk about a philosophical kind of discussion about organizing, because when we talked before, we talked about this concept that organizing isn't necessarily just putting certain systems together. There's really more to it than that. So what is kind of your philosophy of getting organized?
Well, of course you do put things in order. You create file systems that serve an office. You put together zones in a garage so that camping gear is separate from gardening. I mean, you do all those tasks. But with the person who it's not just a one project, maybe a day or a weekend job, the person who might need organizing help over the long term, there's often other things at play. I find that a lot of my clients who especially live in very cluttered homes, who haven't learned the skills of being organized when they were a child or in their work situations, maybe they didn't have good modeling, they often feel a sense of hopelessness, and they feel a sense that they're defective in some way. And I like to reassure them that no one can be good at everything. Right. We all need help.
So what is your approach then? Let's just say when you're meeting that client for the very first time, do you kind of go through maybe a formal assessment? Do you just have a discussion with them and try to pull certain things out of them? What does that first appointment look like?
Well, actually, I talk for a few minutes on the phone with the person, and then I do a no-charge hour consultation at the location. So I get a picture of what their situation actually looks like. And I tell them, don't clean for me. Don't organize. I want to see what you're really dealing with. So when I come and we take a tour, they will talk about their vision. If they have a specific vision, maybe for a room, that they want that room to be more relaxed, or they want this room to be more functional. But soon we start getting into, and what are the things that get in the way of this room being in better shape? And I'm really humbled by the way people will confide in me about the things that are going on in their lives. We all have busy lives, and we're all inundated with paper and information. But I find with the people who are the most disorganized, there's often something along the lines of grief, or what they're calling ambiguous loss, a loss of a dream, or in terms of grief, maybe they had a job loss, a death in the family, a divorce. And often what happens is their homemaking management, their paper management falls to the wayside. You can't do everything. And then that starts to build and become a habit. And we find that they just feel so horrible about themselves. So I want to start there.
Yeah. Well, let's put a face on that, not necessarily mention a name, but maybe someone in the last, recent time here where they had an event. What was the event that they had, and what did it cause them? And then to follow up with that, what did you do to kind of redirect them?
Sure. A particular client had her father die, then her mother die, and then her uncle die.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that compounded her situation was she took on several of their possessions. Because she felt so attached to these people, she couldn't bear to let go of the possessions that had good memories. So we talked about how important it is that she savor those memories. And we talked about taking photos of some of the things, giving them to a donation site that would truly appreciate the item, like an organ. This woman didn't even play a keyboard. And so I suggested she give the organ to a church or a school
Hmm.
to know that her uncle's instrument would still live on. And then we looked at how to just make certain parts of her life more functional, how to just make sure the paper comes into the home and lands in one place, not in the bathroom, not in the bedroom, but maybe in one container in the kitchen or living room for her to
Hmm.
process.
Now, do you think that part of your job then is, I guess maybe the question is, how do people dealing with these kinds of family losses, do they have some kind of guilt that if they give it away, the person who's passed away would have been mad at them? I mean, even though the person's passed away, I mean, how does that psychology come in there, and how do you get them over that hump, I guess?
Yeah. I don't know if they feel, maybe some people feel that the person would be mad at them, but mostly it's about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That they're afraid that if they let go of the thing, they're letting go of knowing that person, letting go of the memories. And they associate that thing so closely with the person. I had an interesting situation where a woman had her father's, no, it was her mother's wedding dress.
Mm.
And I told her that there was this place where this seamstress would make a teddy bear and dress it in the lace and the jewelry of her mother's wedding.
Wow.
So the woman got to have a teddy bear instead of having a wedding dress that was just in a box in the basement where she couldn't really cherish it. So
Mm-hmm.
many times these items are not cherished. So there's a little bit of a guilt too,
Right.
that the person holds on to these things, but they're not really showcased in the home. So I want to help people see if you really treasure it, showcase it. And if you treasure it, but you can't showcase it, give it to someone else who can treasure it and know that it's being appreciated.
Well, I bet in your practice you've seen a lot of people that have those boxes down in the basement that are marked memorabilia, right? And it's
Yes.
part of their past. They don't want to get rid of it because they figure they get rid of it, they're getting rid of their past. And
Yeah.
when in reality, I think your idea of showcasing, what are some tools or other things? You talked about the teddy bear. Are there other ways to take memories or things from the past and showcase them that you've used?
Well, this isn't rocket science. There's things like shadow boxes where
Mhm.
you can showcase little memorabilia, but it's all contained. It's not just scattered about. You can have a photo collage and have that posted in the home so that your photos of your favorite items are still there, especially if you can have them with the person wearing them or using them, something that still keeps those memories alive and it's no longer just a thing.
Right. Yeah. So going back to the person who maybe has inherited some stuff, is the first step really trying to kind of like declutter, or is there another step before that? I mean, how do you kind of approach it as a project?
Um, I approach the project as first we do like with like, similar items together.
Okay.
So books with books, CDs with CDs, stuffed animals with stuffed animals, clothes with clothes. So there's no longer just an overwhelming pile of things.
Hmm.
And then from those, then you can see, do I have two cameras or do I have six cameras? Oftentimes that's a problem. People have so much stuff they don't know how many multiples. Then after things are in separate piles, then you can see, well, I have duplicates. So then you can choose what to do with those duplicates. Then you find a home for things.
Hmm.
So the media and the books go in maybe the living room. And then you come down to these precious items, and that's where the decision making and problem solving comes in. And you look around your home and you see where they would fit in naturally. You see if there's a special way to deal with them. But in just general organizing, not just the precious memorabilia, it's like with like, then look for duplicates or excess, and then find a home. Once you have a home, people are afraid of the word system, but you're creating a system. You're telling someone this is the home for your paper. Your paper lives in your office, and this is where its home is. Oftentimes, people who are quite disorganized, and sometimes their brain isn't hardwired to think in an organized fashion. So the simpler you can make it, that this is the home for your books, this is the home for your paper, then they can grasp that, and then from there they can manage it better because they're focusing just on the one type of item.
Well,
You want to make it as simple as possible for the person to make decisions. So they're not talking about apples and oranges. They're not deciding about clothes at the same time they're deciding about books.
right. I like that, like with like concept. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about another phenomenon called hoarding, which is kind of, it seems like it's all the rage now, but we'll get your take on that. We are talking with Maureen Heinen from sendinmarine.com. We'll be right back. Do you need ideas on to-do lists, keeping focus, and filing information while on the go? The 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by Smead is sure to be a helpful tool for your organizing needs. Each idea is titled so you can quickly scan the book for whatever topic you may need to reference at the given time. With over 100 years in the organizing business, this free ebook will become a well-used resource and motivator for introducing ideas that boost your productivity. Get the 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by going to smead.com/100. Download yours now at smead.com/100. Smead, keeping you organized. We are back now on Keeping You Organized with Maureen Heinen from sendinmarine.com, professional organizer from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And when we were going into the break, we talked about this concept of hoarding. Now, I don't know if it's the cable TV shows or what, but it seems like this term hoarding all of a sudden is being used a lot. I'm sure it's been around, right, forever. What's your take on hoarding?
Oh, I think hoarding is getting such a bad rap. It's the TV shows and some other things are just, it's being sensationalized. The stigma around it is just unbelievable. Like I said before, everybody has weak areas in their life, and hoarding is a serious issue. This is not something that's just about things. It's not just about buying things or saving things, although those are aspects to it. But I would so love to change the perception in our society about hoarding.
Well, how about this? How have you dealt with hoarders in your practice? Maybe tell us a story about one you came upon, what their issues were, and how you helped them move in a new direction.
Sure. I got a call from a woman, and she said, I haven't had anyone in my home for 13 years.
Wow.
And I'm scared to ask you into my home. I'm afraid you'll report me to the authorities. And I said, well, let's start with a phone call where we talk longer. I'll come to your home and we'll walk through, and let's just start the process. I'm not going to judge you. I will treat you with respect. And after about a 15-minute phone call, she said, I think I can have you into my home.
Oh, wow.
When I arrived, you could open the main door about halfway. There was what would be a dining room and then a kitchen. And the dining room had boxes that were unopened from a shopping network. and the kitchen had quite a bit of refuse. And as you walked into the home, there was really just a small path you could walk through. Now, I don't want your viewers to think, oh my God, this woman is a slob. When is she going to get her act together? I want you to see the amount of pain this woman must have in order to live like this. She has compulsion. She has attention deficit. She has some serious issues. And I wish we could look at this. Now, hoarding is in the DSM for mental health issues. So as I talked with her, I didn't change my tone in talking with her. I treated her the same way as I treat an executive I work with in a corporate office. But as we continued to look through the home, there were quite a few appliances that didn't work. There were the stove no longer worked. She probably needed a new refrigerator. There were lights that didn't work. Clearly, her home was in a very critical situation. What I said is, let's start somewhere. And what I usually do is sometimes the solution isn't in the room that you think. We started in the garage. To clear out the garage so some of the things that were in the house could come to the garage, so there was more room to work in the house. She was very hesitant about letting things go, but I could tell that she had the strong desire to.
So how did you get her to agree? Did you say we got to do 25% of the things, or one for one? You keep one, put one away. What did you say to her or do to her to make her give some things up?
Well, I try not to have hard and fast rules. I try to get at it from the standpoint of what kind of home do you want to live in? How do you want to feel when you walk in your home? Do you want this to be peaceful? And she filled in the blank. She said, I want this to be peaceful. I want to have countertops without clutter. I want to be able to retrieve something in my papers. I want to go back to the life I used to live. She didn't always live like this. So we talked about, all the while we were going through this one at a time stuff, we talked about, now, is this so precious that you really want to keep it? And I tried not to be judgmental. I didn't have that tone. But I gently said, is this so precious that you want to keep this and showcase it? And I'd allow her plenty of time to think. And so she came to her own decisions. I didn't have to set rules for her. And then when we came across something that I thought was certainly not worth keeping, we got to the point where we could kind of laugh about it. And I could say, this plastic bag looks like it's lived a full life. Don't you think? And, so we could make it light at times, because this is a very personal thing to have a stranger come into your home and see your biggest weakness. So it's a mixture of compassion, a little bit of humor, lots of patience, and always infusing it with as much hope as possible, because any situation can be improved. Any person's life you can have progress. I don't ever want anyone to think that their situation is hopeless.
Yep. Okay, let's fast forward to the end of that movie, because we all want to know how it ended. First of all, how long did it take to get her in shape, or are you still working with her? And was she able to keep it that way? What are some of the success stories there?
I am still working. Not all clients, but many clients. You work with them. Like I say, there's clients you work with once or over a weekend or a few times over some months, and then you have these long-term clients. And so I am still working with her, and we're making small steps, but we are progressing. and her mood has changed. Her outlook on, I want to do fun things. I want to have more experiences in my life instead of possessions. Where, things are going into the trash or the recycling or particular donation sites. She's particular about where she wants her donations to go. Mm-hmm. And I honor that. I don't want to just say send it to Goodwill if she has a desire to send it to the Sewing Guild or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the mood has changed, and there's a little more light and life in her life. Mm-hmm. She's not as stressed, and she doesn't. I'm sure she still thinks people judge her, but she knows I don't.
Right. Well, and we all want to know, has she invited some other people over to her house now?
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
We're not there yet.
Okay. You're getting
but
this.
That's a great goal to have.
Right.
And I often tell people are coming to visit you. They're not coming for a tour of your showcase home. Trust that if they really love you and they want to be with you, trust that they can come into your home regardless of the situation, because the isolation is crippling for people who live in these locked up homes.
Right. Well, Maureen, our time is up now, and I want to give you an opportunity to let people know maybe just what services you offer, what's the best way to get a hold of you, and share your contact information.
Thank you very much. I'm a generalist, so I work for everything from crazy garages to small businesses. I coach with entrepreneurs. I do a lot of, I'm increasing my work virtually, so I do coaching online. Mm-hmm. And you can do it with Skype, so I can actually see the situation. People don't get my hands and feet, but they get all the rest of me. Right. I have a book coming out next year. It's a small, easy to read, motivational book that provides focus and support. And I'm getting close to retirement, so I'm slowing down a little bit. But I feel like the best of my offering is still on the table. I may not be able to haul boxes like I used to, but I think I can bring my best attributes to the table. One of the best compliments I ever received was when a client told me I was her ally and that she felt very comfortable mm-hmm. with me. And that's what I want to continue to provide.
Well, that's great. Well, listen, we appreciate you being on the show today. And it is sendinmarine.com. Marie Heinen joining us today on Keeping You Organized.